It's a warm welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, here on RaceSpotTV for Friday Night Prime Time, the show where you cast your vote to decide where we go racing. We're here for yet another week and we take to Brands Hatch for something just a little bit different. We've done full road races, we've done full dirt races. Tonight we have a mix of the two. We're here for Brands Hatch and the Rallycross series here on iRacing. It's a very, very interesting one indeed, an interesting prospect. Multiple races here. I am Zach Sweeney. I've got William Chadwick alongside me with Zach Johnson behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and to do all the camera work that certainly I am not intelligent enough to do. I'm going to bring in Will Chadwick now, someone who has a decent amount of experience in the world of sim racing, definitely knows a lot more than I do when it comes to Rallycross. And well, Will, what can you tell me about today?
Well, it's going to be an interesting race. I think we've definitely got some really good drivers out there. One to mention, Bo Albert, former world championship driver in this category. So he's sure to be lightning fast. We'll see drivers using the higher gears in order to maximise traction through the dirt sections, and it'll be pretty much plain sailing through the tarmac stuff in terms of regularity of line, etc.
Yeah, it's going to be one to certainly watch. I'm really looking forward to it. First time, of course, myself commentating over some Rallycross. I've done my own little, bit of casual events over on, some dirt sims and things like that, and really enjoyed it, but never really got into it seriously. So this is a nice breath of fresh air. But again, that's the reason we do these events here for Friday Night Prime Time. That's why you cast your vote, to just go for some series that you might not usually see on a broadcast, and it is awesome to have a look and endeavour into some, not so orthodox series and things like that. And yeah, not got the most populous of sign-ups tonight, but we still have enough to bring us some good action. At the moment, we're in qualifying. Well, we've got about 2.5 minutes left to go. How important is this qualifying session for these 10 drivers?
I think it's probably, as we see Bo Albert make a mistake there. So let's see if his first lap's good enough to get him on pole. It looks like it will be at the moment. However, I don't think it's going to be too important. I think being on the front row. So in Rallycross, I believe it's 3 wide at the start for your front row, and the person who gets on pole will be on the inside line. So it's definitely important, and it definitely gives you an advantage, but it isn't everything. Getting on that front row is really important, so the top 3 will be really tightly contested, and that's exactly where you want to be, really.
For sure, yeah. And again, the start definitely doesn't decide all here in Rallycross. There is a lot of different lines that you can take. Of course, we have to take into account the Joker lap, the slightly different layout that you have to do at least, over the course once in the race. You don't want to do it more than once, because then that's just a little bit stupid. In all honesty, there it is there, just to the sort of the right of the circuit as you go through Clark Curve. That is the dirt bit of the track. You certainly lose around about 2 seconds, I believe, and you compromise your run to the line. So certainly not the track that you want to be taking, but it does spice things up just a little bit, that it's mandatory for one use throughout each of the races. We have got 2 heats. We're not sure if we've got a consultation race, but we certainly will have a feature race at the end of it. So a lot of action and, a lot of track time for these guys to get acclimatized to what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, well, we saw Brands Hatch enter as a Rallycross track after it was introduced into the sim. So it was something they added as a free add-on that iRacing did. And I think it's been about now for maybe a year at this point, but time flies for me, so I have no idea. And it's definitely an interesting aspect, really, because it uses a lot of the normal track features, but also some bits that you maybe wouldn't expect. And I think it provides some really, really good racing.
Yeah, Brands Hatch is definitely a fan favourite, not only in the world of normal motorsport, but also in Rallycross as well. It does bring some, interesting things as the run now through Druids as well. The hairpin corner completely of dirt. You're just going sideways pretty much through the entire thing. And of course, when it comes to dirt, there are a multitude of different lines that you can take inside, outside, keep the momentum up and things like that. And it does sort of encourage a bit of side-by-side action. But again, because of how slippery it is, there's not much grip out there. Although, it can be good to promote a bit of side-by-side action, it's also very, very risky because the margin for error isn't all that big.
No, I think that it's really easy to get involved in a contact which could really impact your race. But there's plenty of races here and plenty of chances. It's not just like your normal format where we go into one race, and if you have a big incident, that's pretty much your chance of the win gone. Today, we have enough time in order to have a few races. So if you have a big mistake and manage to still make it into the feature, I think you've still got all the chance you need to win this.
For sure. Well, we go into the first of our 2 heats then. Only 5 drivers on the grid. It is Bo Albert that takes pole ahead of Rene Wegner there in second place. Andrew Zimmer P3 with Tyler Tier P4 with Manes Mendez in P5 there. Only 5 cars, short and sweet, only 5 laps as well. We get ahead to the grid in just a few moments' time. But, well, Will, this surely is going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. You know, nearly all drivers gridded up. I think it's Bao making us wait a little bit longer. But like you said, the 5 drivers from this race, there'll be 5 in the next, so we will get another winner other than Bao, because I must say Bao is really high I rating, and I think that's all drivers gridded up, so we're going to go racing soon.
Here we are getting ourselves ready then for Friday night primetime here for the Rallycross Series Open B at Brands Hatch. Bo Albert on pole for heat number 1. The flag drops. We are go. A fantastic start there for Bo Albert in the Subaru WRX. He's now going to make his way in towards T1 ahead of Wegner there in second place. He's had a pretty good start. Breaking away really are the first 2, because Andrew Zimmer, Tyler Tier and Manes Mendez are getting off to a pretty, slow start, not getting off as well as they particularly wanted to through Druids for the first time, and already look at the lead that Bo Albert has built over Wegner. You have to say already, Will, this is a fight for second.
Yeah, I think with the fact that Bo Albert being one of, if not the highest I rating driver with Inside Dirt Road does show for his experience, and also the nearly 3-second lead he already has. We are side by side. The number 4 of Andrew Zimmer has taken the position into second, and it's going to be up to Rene Wagner to try and fight back.
Looking on the timing tower then to the left-hand side, you can see the crown next to everyone's names. That is the Joker indicator. That shows who and who hasn't taken the Joker lap. Of course, talking just a little bit in qualifying regarding the Joker, they have to do it once over the course of this race. You can do it whenever you like, but you have to do it. You have to take that time loss. So, again, it's the same for everyone, but there is a bit of a strategical sort of note to it, as Wegner again getting overtaken. Tyler Tier this time gets himself up into 3rd place. Wegner really falling off, not getting into sort of the best of starts and settling in well into this race. Of course, only 10 drivers total, so will make the feature by the end of the event. But again, series like this will all about confidence, and if you don't have it, you really do sink.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to the line that you take, because I think if you get slightly offline in this, it's so much harder to then carry the momentum, continuous keeping the traction at least, and it kind of goes downhill from there. So I think keeping a really consistent line is key to the lap time, and like you say, confidence is always important.
Bo Albert then on to lap 3 of 5, already the majority of the way through. He's the only one of the bunch to take his Joker, and to no surprise, he emerges still in front. That goes to show the confidence and the speed that the 9.1k I-rated man, the number 1 machine, has in this Rallycross series. He's just been the star of the show, really taking us by storm over the jump then as they miss Graham Hill Bend and just continue to go straight into this left-hander again, chucking the car in sideways, trusting that it's going to grip, and just using the oversteer to counteract the understeer that is naturally going to occur when you go on dirt. Then it's back to the asphalt, and again, that adjustment going from dirt straight onto the tarmac, it must be a pretty big differential, and then having to adapt straight away to the different grip levels. It is a testament to the skill of running at a top level in Rallycross.
Oh yeah, I think that, like I said, the tarmac sections aren't too different to how you'd expect to run them in any sort of GT4, GT3, LMP2 car that you might run on the road side of iRacing. However, the transition and how you utilize the surfaces around the track is crucial in order to be able to get the speed, because you lose so much time in the dirt section in comparison to what you would lose in the tarmac section for maybe being slightly offline. And something I have noticed, which is really interesting, is that Bo Albert is using the gravel on the outside of the track to gain extra traction when going through Druids, and he uses that as a surface which is clearly showing a little bit more grip than you would get from the dirt surface here on iRacing.
Yeah, just finding whatever he can. He is a very experienced driver, very probably well decorated in sim racing as well, is Bo Albert. And of course, when you race at that level, you do find these small little things. Just going in sideways, trusting the car's going to grip completely sideways into T1 here for just a bit of a dirt section in towards Dribs. We're going to take a look if he copies that technique that you mentioned about turning in very, very early, going very, very wide, using the momentum of the car just to swing it round, get it straight, and then use that for traction over the jump. Oh my word. Very, very committed, it must be said. And again, into this left-hander, this is certainly how it's done. You can see using every bit of the track possible, you know, sending the car in, confidence, using the handbrake, all this, that, and the other, the weight shift of the car as well. And you really do have to rely on the physical mechanics of things like this. But Bo Albert on the final lap through Clark Curve for the final time has been, well, what has been a really dominant display. 12, well, just over 13.5 seconds. He'll cross the line with a lead over only 5 laps. Bo Albert takes Heat 1 here for Friday Night Primetime Rallycross Series Open B at Brands Hatch. We have got another one, and of course the feature left to go. It will be Andrew Zimmer that comes home in second place, a long time after him in the Ford Fiesta as well. We've got Manas Mendez and Rennie Wegner to round off in P5 as well. But Bo Albert then takes the win. Andrew Zimmer and Tyler Tier 2 and 3. Manas Mendez P4 with, as I say, Rennie Wegner in P5. And of course, no surprise, the fastest lap by Bo Albert, a 55.0. Already Heat 1 in the books, and already we know the pecking order slightly, at least for these 5.
Yeah, and I think what was really interesting to see there was, despite the fact that Wegner went off second, you know, just got past once, lost a bit of momentum. I think he caught the barrier, got a little bit of damage, and dropped down the order very quickly.
This is heat number 2 then. Joshua O'Ryan takes pole ahead of Yoni Palanova in P2 with Dimitri P3 and Chayas in P4. And it will be Wynandale in P5 to round off the only 5 cars. I think they are all lining themselves up onto the grid then. And we are go once more for heat number 2. It's a good start from the inside for Wynandale. He goes into the lead of the race, but Palanova going to try and go the long way round there. 2 wide, 2 rows deep. I don't think we've actually got all 5 cars on the grid. No, we haven't. The WRX then takes the lead as Palanova from O'Ryan, who got not the best of starts from pole position. It's certainly going to be a fight from here on in.
Yeah, that was a sensational start and such commitment on the outside for Palanova. I think that, you know, the move that he made there was really crucial at the start of this race, but it's definitely not over yet, because I don't imagine Orion's going to sit down easy.
No, you go in a race on pole position with almost an expectation to win. You hope to win because you're in the prime position too. It's natural. You're competitive. You're on pole. You've got a clear track ahead of you. You want to win, but that's been very, very harshly stripped away from him from Yoni Palanova, who already takes to the Joker on lap 1. He had a bit of a lead built, so you might as well take it. Not got the best of runs now coming down towards T1, but emerges just behind O'Ryan. Might actually lose the place to Dimitri as well, but don't forget, he's still in the net race lead, provided he doesn't make a mistake. Dimitri then up in a second, closes the gap under brakes, but goes in a bit too deep.
No.
Oh my word! There goes O'Ryan. He's collected the barrier. He's collected Palanova with him, and Dimitri emerges with a huge lead. There goes Tyson up in a second place. Flip back onto his head goes the Volkswagen Beetle of our pole sitter Joshua O'Ryan, and that is calamity for Palanova.
Yeah, he just looked like he got a bit of like he gripped up more than he expected on the tarmac, and then he got caught in that Armco barrier, and that just ruined Palanova's line through the first corner here, and that's so disappointing for Palanova and also for Ryan. And now we've got who's in the lead now? Dimitri? Fantastic.
Yes. So we're on Dimitri in the lead of the race, 5 seconds clear of Craig Chyson, who again is just here chilling. He's not complaining. He saw 2 of the big contenders out, you know, close enough out on going on to the second lap of this race, and you certainly can't blame him for, you know, just chilling and going up in a second place, because I mean, who wouldn't? He's not going to be complaining, even if he is slightly off the pace compared to Palanova and Joshua O'Ryan. But it's going to be a fight back from here. But again, as we say, not got the biggest of sign-ups, so I think everyone is going to make the feature race. So even though they've had a bit of a calamity here for Heat 2, there's certainly a lot of ways they can make amends in the feature.
Yeah, it's not everything. This is only really going to set your grid position for the feature, which is of course important. And I'm sure that you will want. I'm sure Dimitri's very, very happy with being able to start on the front row as things are. However, it's a good time to warm up, and I think that every driver that's had issues is going to have their chance to come back for the likes of Palanova in the consolation race.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, the feature race.
I wasn't going to say anything, just not throwing the best. I love you too much for that. But no, yeah, Palineva, it just becomes a bit of a practice session for him at this point, because now he's almost got nothing to lose. He's not fighting for necessarily the win for pride or anything like that. He now can almost send it in, find the limits, go over the limits slightly, because what does it matter? Nothing. He can use this to build that confidence and then make sure he comes back even stronger for that final.
Well, I would suggest, looking at his lap times, he's gone over a second quicker than he has in quali so far. Maybe trying to use some of that the gravel that we saw Bo Albert using effectively. I think he's got a chance at second here, only 0.5 seconds back with 1.5 laps to go. It's going to be interesting to the flag.
Oh yeah, we'll have to see how hard Craig Charlison fights this one. But yeah, Palineva has been on a fight back. I think Joshua Orion has sort of just parked the bus and given up for Heat 2. But yeah, Palineva certainly hasn't looked back. We've now got one more lap to go. Around about 55 seconds of racing action left for Heat 2 as Dimitri will cross the line and start us off for the final lap. But Palineva is going to be pushing his absolute hardest to try and get up into that second place. Both him and Craig Charlison have taken their joker. It is going to be both of them line down. Oh my word! Oh, Palineva sends it in a bit too deep, bit of contact. I think Charlison's been able to get away with it, but Palineva certainly hasn't. In too deep, locked the rear brakes, and you are certainly not under a lot of control whatsoever. There's Charlison, who, well, I think just got a bit of a brown pants moment than anything and managed to continue on. Also to note that Suron Dimitri hasn't taken his joker at all so far in this race. He's going to have to do it on this final lap. He's got the margin around about 5.5 seconds back to Craig Charlison, so shouldn't be too big of an issue, and should be able to secure this victory here for heat number 2. And there you see he pulls over to the right hand side, bit of a jump as you go through, then completely sideways through the inside of Clark Curve, get the drive off the corner, and it will be Suron Dimitri. Yeah, he's not going to be complaining. He takes victory for heat number 2 for the Rallycross Series Open B at Brands Hatch here for Friday night prime time. It's going to be a very, very interesting feature race, and well, a lot of uncertainties going in, because I don't think we've seen the full potential of a lot of drivers.
I think there's definitely going to be a mix-up in this feature race. I think we've seen each driver's quality. I'd say that Dimitri looks to be really consistent compared to Panilova, for example, but I think Panilova's got some really underlying speed there that he might be able to use to challenge to try and get second in the feature race, maybe even for the lead, depending on what happens to Bo Albert. But yeah, I believe we skip straight to the feature now.
I believe so, and here is how they line up. Of course, our 2 winners are Bo Albert P1 and Suron Dimitri P2. Then it's Andrew Zimmer P3 with Craig Charlison in P4. Tyler Tier rounds off the top 5 with Yoni Palineva in P6. He's going to want to make some steady progress forwards. Manas Mendez P7, Joshua Reiner alongside him in P8 with Rene Wegner in P9, and Dries Windale rounds off the grid there in 10th place. We're soon to get underway, and well, I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for this race. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. I think we're going to just wait for a couple cars to grid up, but I think we're quite close to going green light racing here.
Yeah, waiting for just the last couple of cars of Zimmer and Windale to get on to the grid. Then we are go for 10 laps. The final, the feature race here for Friday Night Primetime Season 4. The cars are getting ready. We're waiting for the green flag to drop and signal us on our way. Bo Albert gets away well. A bit of a slow start towards the backside. Suron Dimitri, is he going to challenge down in towards T1? Doesn't look to be the case. So once again, Bo Albert leads off T1. Bit of contact. There's a Fiesta going off. I think that is going to be Wegner collected there. A couple of drivers as well. Here's Palinova being collected in that one as well. Not entirely sure. A couple of drivers involved, but again, that is what is to be expected sometimes in Rallycross. Bo Albert with a commanding lead so far. He's followed closely by his fellow Subaru, Suron Dimitri and Tyler Tier P3. Joshua Ryan, our pole sitter for Heat 2, comes into the final. He's already up in a 4th place and could be contending for that podium.
Yeah, so as you said, Panilova did end up in that crash. He just was collected by the natural movement of the 2 cars that had the collision into turn number 1. And again, really unlucky for him. But he hasn't got any damage, and he has still got 9 laps here in order to make some time back up.
It is going to be very, very tricky, though, of course, is a short lap. But again, with Rallycross, it doesn't matter how short the lap is. There is a lot of time to be gained just purely in terms of confidence and hooking the lap up as well. It's all good being confident, but if you don't actually pitch the car in how it's supposed to, you don't hook the lap up, it's going to be very, very difficult. This is the fight between Suron Dimitri and Tier. Oh, my word. Tier, unfortunately, going into the barrier, getting collected, nearly reverses back onto the track. There goes Mendez up in a 5th place. Charlison as well gets the measure of him. So Joshua Ryan released onto the podium. That was an affair made very, very, very easy for him. And a little bit further back, this is the fight between Palaneva and Manas Mendez for the back end of P4 and P5. But it seems that Palaneva has got the measure in terms of pace. He's ahead and is trying to set his attention forward for that podium.
Yeah, just made the move going into turn 1 there. Palanova on the attack now. He's got the 4th place car of Joshua O'Ryan in his sights. And I think it's going to be interesting to see whether he can catch up.
Oh, for sure, Bo Albert already taken his Joker lap and still emerging in the lead. So similar to Heat 1, it seems to be that Bo Albert is the only man that can stop himself. He is his own worst enemy, and as long as he keeps it nice and tidy, nice and clean, he should reign victorious for this race. And you can clearly see in terms of iRating, well, you can't at home, but I can. 9.1 KI rating for Bo Albert. The second most high is Yoni Palaneva with 3.6. So big differential in terms of what you would expect there pace to be in terms of iRating. We're going to jump to a replay of the race start then, and it was a very, very manic one. Talk us through it, Will.
So down into turn number 1, you can see the perspective of Palanova here. 2 cars make contact on the inside and it just collected. It's nothing that he really could have done about it, especially giving room to his fellow racers on the inside. And luckily no damage, but those type of things happen, and it's really not been his day so far, but maybe he's got enough time to make up to get onto that podium. Briefly speaking about O'Ryan last lap made a mistake just clipping the inside barrier of turn number 2, which cost him, I'd say, about a second, and that's just put him closer and closer to Palanova's grip.
Yeah, Palaneva is chasing, and both of them, of course, haven't taken their Joker so far. We approach the halfway mark, lap 5 of 10, very, very soon. The lap times of less than a minute on average. Just goes to show that this is a very short and sweet format. You don't have very much time to get the job done, but Joshua O'Ryan is going to be looking in his rearview mirrors fairly shortly. Looking on the previous lap time, as you say, Joshua O'Ryan 57.5, and for Palaneva 56.5. So both of them, big difference. Palaneva a decent gap back to second place. Joshua O'Ryan is trying to reel that gap in, though, of course, between the fight for second. You would argue Dimitri, O'Ryan and Palaneva, not much separating them. None of them have taken their Joker either. So any mistakes could be very, very costly in this feature race.
Well, yeah, like we were saying, O'Ryan made that mistake on the, I think it was lap number 3 or something, but just then set the fastest lap of any car circulating other than Bo Albert on a 56.1, which is even 4/10 quicker than his qualifying time. So that's really interesting to see, picking up the pace here, and both 3rd and 4th are catching 2nd.
Yeah, they are on a mission. 6 tenths on that last lap for O'Ryan, and not too much different there for Palaneva either. So a 56.1 for O'Ryan, a 56.2 for Palaneva, and they are definitely hunting down Soren Dimitri, who you would argue just has to keep it nice and tidy and maintain that gap back. And that is very, very sideways there for O'Ryan. That allows Palaneva to close the gap significantly. You can't be making mistakes like that, because as soon as your car's knocked off rhythm, the car behind closes the gap very, very quickly. Is Palaneva going to eye up the move for 3rd place? He had definitely a bit of a look to the inside of Druid's corner. They are going to run side by side, but with the momentum on the outside, O'Ryan emerges ahead as they jump over the bit of a leap. As you head in towards this next left-hander, you can just see how committed Palaneva is, taking a nice wide line in, trying to get the drive off the corner. He's got that momentum, bit of a clip to the barrier though, and unfortunately for him, that's going to ruin his run and his chance for 3rd place for now.
Yeah, it was interesting that and opts to take the Joker, so now he feels like he's getting held up by O'Ryan. That means that now he's going to take the Joker, see what he can do in clean air, and hope to re-emerge in 3rd place, or maybe even 2nd by the time the other 2 have took their mandatory Joker lap.
Of course, yeah, he wants a bit of clear air because he knew he was quick. As soon as he got tucked up behind the Beetle of O'Ryan, he did suffer a little bit in terms of pace, whether that's visual or just the fact that O'Ryan wasn't as quick. And another tap to the barrier for O'Ryan, and the smallest of mistakes, the biggest of consequences. He's gone off, and Palaneva is going to close the gap despite already taking that Joker lap, and that is very, very unfortunate. Yet again, another mistake for O'Ryan, but Palaneva, relative to everyone around him, that fight for second between himself, O'Ryan and Dimitri, is looking very, very good. He's gaining relative to Dimitri, who still has to take his Joker, and of course O'Ryan, with that mistake, is going to be suffering some big consequences as we approach, the final couple laps in this race. And again, it is so surprising how quickly these races get over and done with, but O'Ryan's still not opting to take the Joker, and again, you would have to say his fight for second after that mistake is well and truly done.
Yeah, that would be what it would look like from the outside, but you never know what could happen. We have seen Orion's pace across the course of this race, and we do know he has a good amount of pace in his locker. But like you say, with Palanova having the Joker already taken, it's likely that, or it's almost certain that Palanova will take Orion's position in third when they come to serve it.
Yeah, and it is going to be an interesting talking point, but that's the thing with Rallycross is sometimes it's definitely not decided on track. It's all decided relative to everyone else, and yeah, still on track, but you get what I mean. It's decided with the strategies in terms of the Joker. We'll have to see if Dimitri peels off to the right and takes his Joker. Still no, so leaving it very, very late, wants to remain by himself on the clear circuit for as long as possible. I guess for Dimitri, if he does take the Joker, he is going to be sort of into the realm of Orion and Palaneva, and getting tripped up over them is certainly going to be something that he doesn't want to get involved in.
Yeah, I think the loss from the Joker is about 2.5 seconds, so I still think Dimitri would have to lose around about 1.5 seconds in the next 2 laps in order to have any chance of Palanova overtaking him, but you never know. A little bit of a contact there for the barrier for Palanova, but there's all to play for, as I think Dimitri also made a mistake through the first section.
Yeah, a lot of little tiny mistakes there coming into play as we see Zimmer, I think, actually get ahead of Tyler Tier for 7th place. Not really paid much attention, unfortunately, to the fights a little bit lower down, but there's Zimmer up into 6th place as well after Mendez, I think, took his Joker very deep into turn 1, though, taps the barrier for good measure just to say hello, and yeah, up into 6th place, though, retains that, and yeah, for a midfield fight, it's actually been quite close. You can see 3 cars there. We are on to the final lap of the race, though. Bo Albert's going to lead us round for the final minute, and you have to say he's been thoroughly deserving of this victory.
Class of the field by far, but it makes sense with his iRating and his experience with inside this class, but he's been absolutely excellent. As we see Orion making the move on Dimitri down into turn number 1, Dimitri holds it with the more inside line. Orion might get a better run through, but it looks like Dimitri's held it despite taking the Joker. Orion's still to take it on the last lap, so he won't really be fighting for this, even though it looks like he is on this last lap. But yeah, like we say, hasn't took the Joker so far, as you can see on your left-hand timing board. I think that might be Bo Albert getting close to the line now.
It will be. He's going to come across the line. He's won every race he's participated in. He's been the class of the field, head and shoulders above the rest. A bit of a wiggle across the line. Takes victory for the feature race here for Friday night primetime. It's going to be Saron Dimitri from 2nd place to 2nd place. There is Orion taking the Joker lap. He's not going to be able to emerge ahead of Palaneva, who takes the podium after redemption after his pretty flawed run in Heat 2. There's Orion emerging from the Joker. He'll round off in P4. Craig Chison just behind them in around about P5. Rounds off the top 5. Then Andrew Zimmer, Tyler Tier, Manas Mendez, and Rene Wegner to finish P9. I think we did lose the 10th place man as well of Wyandale, which is a bit of a shame. But well, I mean, the suspense that we had, again, something a little bit different. It's a shame that we didn't quite have the calamity for the race lead that we potentially would have hoped for. But again, we were talking just a bit before broadcast about series like this that are sort of tucked away in the corner. You are either really, really good at it, or you're sort of, you know, a little bit slower trying to learn the ropes. And for Bo Albert, certainly a specialist, so certainly expecting to excel in his field.
Yeah, and I think what this event has given the opportunity is for everyone that's in this field can now go and have a little look at how Bao was driving, and they might be able to learn from that. And I think that's a really important point to when you're trying to get faster in a certain series, certain class in iRacing, which maybe isn't run as much. A reference is really, really important to have a look at. And as you see there with Bao Albert, that's one of the best, if not the best, reference you can get.
Yeah, you learn a lot from those that are better than you, and it's humbling, but you have to take it on the chin and try and learn from those that are definitely better than you. Well, after 2 heats and a final, Bo Albert emerges victorious, 16.5 seconds clear of Simon Dimitri in P2, with Yoni Palaneva rounding off the podium. Joshua Ryan and Craig Charleston rounds off 4th and 5th. Andrew Zimmer just in behind in P6 with Tyler Tier 7th. Manas Mendez P8 with Rene Wegner and Dries Wyandale rounding off 9th and 10th. 54.954, I should say, for Bo Albert on lap 9. Even quicker, lap by lap, that man improved. And yeah, well, you have to say again, he was the start of the field. Very, very well done, and just a well done for everyone participating, because that's the thing with Friday Night Primetime. That's the goal we try to achieve, is to just tick all the boxes, put our fingers in all the different pies, and travel to all the different disciplines of sim racing.
Yeah, well, I'm a Wiganer, so I always like putting my fingers in pies, and as it is one of our local dishes, Bow Albert, fantastic performance, and there's not really more you can say than exceptional.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure Ewan O'Leary is going to agree with you on that one. He's also a fellow Northerner and loves his pies. And yeah, he's any Northerner really when it comes to England do love their pies and their metal shutters as well. I've heard. But that is going to round off our action here for the Rallycross series for the RaceSpotTV Friday night primetime. Don't forget to have your say for next week. Do get involved on the RaceSpotTV Discord. The vote will be live in, I'm not too sure, but certainly very, very soon. Have your say for where we go. 4 choices for next week's Friday night primetime. It's going to be around about the same time of 8 p.m. BST. Do join us next time. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, Will Chadwick alongside me in the commentary booth with Zach Johnson behind the scenes. As I say, we certainly do look forward to seeing you, and well, let's see where we end up next. Until then, bye-bye.